Hello, thank you for joining me this morning. My name is Scott Deal. I am the Vice President of Product Management for the Word & Brown General Agency, and I'm going to give you a pro demo of our Quot-O-Matic website. Quot-O-Matic, the genesis of Quot-O-Matic occurred about 30 years ago at the beginning of our company, and it has grown substantially since, and this is our fourth or fifth version of it on the web. And certainly is far superior to any prior version. This version happens to be the result of about 6 years worth of blood, sweat, and tears from the team. And I think it's a really substantial improvement on website quoting. I'm going to show you a lot of the different features in a bit of detail and walk through them. I am recording this, so it will be placed on our YouTube page when we're done. When you log into the website, you land on your dashboard, and your dashboard shows you all of the quote history that you have amassed, whether it was run by an inside sales representative, which would be all of these ones that are listed as incomplete, for example, or whether you ran it on the web here, or whether or not it had an error. And this is every single quote that's been run on my account, and if you're a producer with multiple accounts, you might have more than one, so you can change your account here. This occurs when you've got a broker who does agency production but also personal production, or perhaps produces for two agencies at the same time. You might have separated accounts so that you can claim ownership of the data should you leave one or the other. But this aggregates all of the account data up into the display. It shows you the quotes by group name, the quote name, which this is something that you can enter. If you run it on the web yourself, you can actually enter in your own quote name. So here I've got demo ready. This quote is a quote that I've gone through and I've made sure has absolutely no problems. So it's very ready and easy for me to go and demo it. And in it, what we've got is we've got a little grid that shows you whether or not you've quoted medical, dental, vision, or life. So here, based on this key, you can see that I've run an employee choice quote for medical and custom quotes for dental, vision, and life. And there's 3 different quote types that are available through Word & Brown. Like I said, the genesis for Quot-O-Matic began about 30 years ago, and it was mostly around AB 1672, which was how we wrote small group insurance way back when. And what it did was it said that you had to provide a marketplace summary to your customer when you were selling them an insurance product. And so what we did was we created a marketplace summary, and that's our summary quote. It shows you everything inside of the marketplace that your group is eligible for. The next level of a quote came out. It became a custom quote, and it was right around the time that dual choice became available. So your clients could select an HMO and a PPO to write alongside of one another. And that was the standard for a number of years. And then right around 1994, 1995, when we introduced California Choice into the marketplace, what happened was carriers began to offer the ability for an employee to select from a series of policies or a series of plans that an employer could offer them. And they created packages of those plans. So your plan, you might have 4 HMOs and 5 PPOs, and your employees could make selections. That's where our employee choice quote came in. The employee choice quote is the most comprehensive of all quotes, and it's oftentimes the place where I start. So when I'm doing quoting, one of the first things that I do is I try and get as much data as possible. So if it's a prospect group, I ask them for a billing statement of their current coverage so that I can give them an apples-to-apples comparison. If anyone balks at that, I generally tell them, look, you're coming to me as a professional because you've got a problem that you need me to solve, and I'm going to help you solve it, but I need the data to do so. So you need to tell me what plans you're on, what prices you're on, and I can give you a marketplace analysis that shows you apples to apples what you're looking at. If you choose to elect another carrier for whatever reason I'm trying to solve it for, whether it's a provider directory issue, or it's an RX issue, or it's a I hate this carrier issue, or a claims issue, or any number of reasons that you'll encounter out there in the marketplace. So I'm going to start you out with an employee choice quote. When you're in our system, you can simply click on a quote name or a group name, and you can create a copy of that. by selecting no. So now I'm in a copy of my demo-ready quote for Perfection Inc. And Perfection Inc. is a great place to work for a lot of reasons. I'm going to go ahead and roll the effective date. So you'll see a couple of things that happen. I originally quoted this as the 12/1, and so a lot of my, in fact, I think most of my plans are not going to carry forward to 1/1. So when we get to the plan selection screen, you're going to see a series of notifications that say, hey, look, plans you previously selected are no longer available. A lot of our system's functionality is behind the scenes. It's the stuff you don't see that makes a big difference for you. You can come onto our system comfortably and quote and know that whatever you get out of our system, you can present to your client with the assurance that it's accurate. If you put in accurate census data, you're going to get an accurate quote result. And we do that by means of a lot of effort around creating protections so that you don't quote plans for the wrong effective date, or you don't wind up without a plan option for each employee, or you have a uniform contribution for all of your employees. That's all stuff that we take care of behind the scenes, and we provide notifications throughout the process to make sure that you're held to make sure those plan options exist, contributions are uniform, etc. So things like union, non-union, if you select union, non-union here, we're going to hold your group accountable for the various requirements that the carriers have for accessibility to a union, non-union carve-out. If there's a group size limitation, for example, some carriers require more than 8 employees for union, non-union. We'll hold you to that, and we won't quote a carrier if your group isn't eligible for it. Once you've got your group data in here and your effective date selected, and you verified that we're quoting the right carriers for your interest, you can click Next. It's going to take you over to the Census page. On the Census screen, you're going to get a view of all employees and dependents. So here I've got a few employees and their dependents. And really what I need to do is I'm going to collapse this. All gray rows are employees, white rows are dependents. Here I've got an employee who's over age, so I'm given a little notification that he's over age. Good for me if I'm selling senior care products or Medicare supplements, I can go out and sell this guy a med sup and pull him off of the group plan. Probably a good idea if there are significant claims to do that, since Medicare is such a great coverage option. I'm given a few options up here at the top. If I'm entering in census data or if I've imported census data, oftentimes imports are pretty clean, but sometimes they have a few errors. You can click on this button to see any census bits that have errors in them, and they will be like this is highlighted yellow. They will be highlighted for you. You can apply this census data right here to the master census for your group. The master census is accessible from the dashboard under the My Groups section. You can export this census data. So if you sent a census to us on a napkin or a paper towel or anything else, we'll actually key it in for you, and then you can come in here and you can export it to be able to use it in any other system. So if you're processing an online enrollment, for example, in another system, you can export your census from us and take it and use it there. And of course, the easiest way to get your data into our system is to import it, which is what I've done for this group. So this is my little 9Life group at Perfection Inc. It's a nice small place to work, but it's a beautiful, beautiful company. Most of my employees have zip codes up in the San Francisco or Los Angeles area, and I toggled some so that I have about half up in the Northern California area and half in the Southern California area. It's just for easy demo purposes, but also to show you that there is the ability to toggle between an employer zip and an employee zip. Really good for live work. If you have employees who are outside of an HMO service area, and yet because where they work they are eligible for the HMO based on live work, then they can still get access to it. You just toggle their zip code, and it's non-destructive, so that employee zip code stays in the database. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to remove all of these custom quotes so I can show you how I did this. So like I said, generally I start things from a billing statement, and I jump straight into employee choice. So that's where we're going to start, because everything else is derivative of employee choice. So employee choice is the most comprehensive. It includes every feature function that you're going to find inside a custom and every feature function you're going to find inside a summary. So here, I'm given the carriers that I previously selected. I got Blue Shield. I'm going to go ahead and pull out the effective date so that it blows out my plan so that you can see what it looks like. Automatically, we apply the 1-year anniversary from the date that you've input, but that's not necessary. You can actually quote a short plan year, a long plan year. So let's just say this group is going to take a renewal option in March, and I want to show what those plans look like. You can select your networks here. So if you know the group's only interested in full networks, you can go ahead and make those selections. You can select your alternative carriers. And in this case here, I wanted to quote a step down. So I actually added a local access HMO because I want to educate the consumer on, hey, look, if all of your doctors are in the network, this is a lower cost option that you really should consider. And maybe sometimes the cost difference is enough for an employee or an employer to make a consideration of switching, regardless of whether or not their doctor's in the network. Not everyone is tied to their doctor. So here I've got a nice round package. I've got a Blue Shield current renewal. I've got an Aetna and a Health Net alternative, and then a Blue Shield that I'm going to quote a step down on. You don't have to make all these carrier selections here. You can actually come back and add carriers on the next page. But I like to go with a nice round subset of plans so that I can quote rather seamlessly. So this is where the notifications are going to come up that I had to remove various packages for me. Those are all fine. It does provide the plan name, so if for some reason you've rolled an effective date, it does tell you which plans were pulled. So now I've got my renewal. I'm going to go ahead and just make a couple plan selections. So let's say I've got a bill and I've got, I like to do things in a certain order. So I'll take let's just say like a high HMO and a low HMO and a high PPO and a low PPO. And that's generally the way that I order my presentations. But it's amenable to whatever structure you want to place in it. This is the way they're going to flow into the output. So I can reorder them by clicking on these so that they flow exactly as I want them to. The important thing is to keep your plans, your comparable plans, aligned in a row. So as I add my next carrier, I'm going to go ahead and add my Aetna. I'll leave my 50% of lowest cost. And now I'm going to want to do the same high, low for my Aetna package. I sort by total premium. It allows me to quickly find the plans. And then I just do the same sequence search. It's very easy for me to build comparability out of this system or to find plans that are competitive, simply because I can order everything by premium. So I've just done that by clicking on the column header. Now, that has quite a few plans. And as we're learning about 1/116 plans through the system, through quoting, I can go in here and I can just pull these plans and place them side by side to one another. Jump back up to the top, and it looks like I've got a nice complete package. If I'm not sure of the comparability, of course, I can always click compare, and I can see how my plans stack up to one another. So my out-of-pocket's a little bit higher, but my copay is a little bit lower. Usually copays win out over out-of-pocket, right? So there's a good argument to be made there. Let's see. Next one to look at is prescriptions. Prescriptions are fairly even. Nice cap on that one, so probably that is a good option. Just happened upon a nice comparability there, and I can do that for all of them if I'm uncertain about how the plans stack up to one another. And actually, this one's pretty nice too. And that's a really good way. If you're ever unsure of how plans compare, think about how actuaries work. Actuaries are, they count beans, and they know down to the per member per month, per cent cost. So I used to work at Blue Shield, and they would tell us, look, for this plan, we chose a $15 copay versus a $10 copay, and the cost difference on that was 33 cents per member per month, or even 2 cents per member per month. And that's how they build their rates. So all actuaries, provided that they're good actuaries, certain carriers have had some bad ones just recently and gone out of business. We won't say any names, but good actuaries are going to be able to develop cost differences based on the benefits. So if you're choosing plans by their comparable rates, you'll find that they have comparable benefits. Now, that's not always the case when you're crossing networks. So here we've got a comparable plan, but we've got the basic network, right? So it's obviously going to be a lot less expensive. This would be one of those situations where I would say, hey, look, if your employees who are on the Silver 1700 or the Silver 55 currently, if they're going to move, they're going to move on to a higher cost plan at renewal. Well, that might not be what they want. If they're like me, they go to the doctor only when necessary, and even then it's probably only after a lot of poking and prodding, right? So for those people, you always want to have a very low cost option inside of your package, and generally I've been finding that's a lot the HMOs, or it's HSA compatible plans. Those are really great to add into a package because you'll always find a few employees who take them. I'm going to go ahead and add my step down for my Blue Shield. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and sort it again. And now what I can do is I can filter. I can show just the local access HMO, and then I can do the same process. High HMO, low HMO, high PPO, low PPO. And I can move these around too. It sorts the order of the plan display on the output. So it's all about getting you the right presentation for whatever format you want to take and present to your customer. So here I've got my plans that are comparable, all in a row. Looks like I've got a nice savings on the local access. Without suffering any differences in the coverage. So that might be a good option for them. In any case, it's just an educational piece, right? So I may not be trying to sell them this. I may be trying to focus on the Aetna as a good sales option for them. And you can keep adding different carrier packages to this. It's not going to limit you. So here I'm going to add a health net, and I'll use the same process. So sometimes you'll have to focus in on what specifically the client is interested in, whether or not they're sensitive to co-payments, and if you don't know, the best guess is to look at price, because price is often the driver of these conversations. Hi. So this is one of the protectivist things that I mentioned earlier. We will not let you quote plans that cannot be sold together. So I've already selected a plan from another package. Let's see which package I selected. So Enhanced A plus INF. So I've already selected a plan from that package, so it won't let me commingle other plans. So this actually might be a really good opportunity for me to say, hey, give me also an Enhanced Choice A package. So now I've got 1 and 2. I've got 2 packages up there. And that just allows me to educate on the difference between their INF plan series versus their regular plan series. I'm going to decline low again for both. If I can find one. Let's see. This is where making these plan selections pays off. So you can come up here and you can say, hey, look, just show me these ones for now. You can make your plan selection, high, low, or whatever it is, compared to the billing statement, of course. And then you can toggle it. So my next Health Net package was the Enhanced Choice A. Okay, I've got my high. I just need to choose the low HMO, and then my PPO and low PPO. So now I've got a really nice array of plans, 2 Health Net packages, an Aetna package. And of course, right now I can only assume comparability. I can only assume that the rates are going to look good. Really what I need to do is go to the next page, assign the plans as they would be on the billing statement, and see how the rates flow out. So again, here I can look at the comparability. I can eyeball whether or not it's going to be acceptable to the client. I think they're going to love a $10 copayment versus a $25 for a regular office visit. I think that's a huge advantage for Health Net. But if someone's taking a brand name prescription, maybe that will be a deal killer. To go up to 30, double the cost. It may not. It still looks like Aetna's a really great option as far as the benefits are concerned. So this just gives you the opportunity to really build your case, and it allows you to kind of speak through what you're going to be explaining to the client as you talk to them about the presentation. And actually, to be quite fair and honest, I used to do a lot of my client presentations when I was out in the field on the computer itself. So I would walk them through these screens as we were talking through it and build the plans together. It gives them a sense that they are selecting the plans with your guidance, it usually worked out really well for us because the client felt like they were making the right choices because they were guided by us, but yet they were making the choices, so it was their decision. That kind of buy-in is priceless. So once you've got all your plans selected and you think they're comparable, you can click Next. And that's going to take you over to the plan assignment page. Now on plan assignment, we've made it ludicrously simple for you. You don't have to select a plan for each employee for each package. You just have to select the right plan for the current. And if you've aligned your plans correctly on the preceding page, remember how I had the comparable plans aligned in a row across the packages. If I select, say, the low HMO is going to be selected all the way across. Okay? Collapse me. So if I choose the high PPO gets selected all the way across. If I choose the HSA, then the low PPO is already going to be selected all the way across. So I'm just going to go through and make a couple selections. Okay, now I've got a nice disbursement across the group. I can check down here to see if I've made the grade. Looks like they're going to have a short plan year with a pretty high increase at the end of it. My Blue Shield alternative doesn't look like it's going to be that much of a saving grace. Aetna looks like a great employer cost reduction, but it looks like all that cost goes over onto the employees, so maybe not the best option for the employees there. And so maybe I need to go back through and reiterate through this process in order to really find something that's comparable, in which case I can just go straight back. I would want to save my changes, and I can swap out plans. Let's see if we can find one on the Aetna. I really think that these prices are a winner. So maybe this HMO up here is just a bit pricey. And maybe this high-end PPO is a bit pricey. So let's go and swap out those plans really quickly. So rather than this HMO, rather than that PPO, Oh, that's why. That's the open choice. Goodness. Let's do a 250 deductible. Let's see what that looks like. Or maybe because that's probably the owner, we'll do a that one. Okay. Just trying to find some lower cost plan options so that I can go and present to the client and say, hey, look, I found you something that's, just as good but lower cost than what you got. Let's see if that does it. Then I come back up in here. I'm going to make sure that, my plan alignment didn't get out of whack, and it did. So I'm going to jump this plan up. Okay. I'm just going to walk this plan up to the top. Now it's aligned. Got my basic network. Okay, so let's see. Did I do good? So I've added a deductible, but I've lowered those co-payments. And that might be sellable. I mean, it's really up to the client. Preferred brand, ooh, that might be a killer. But I'm focused on rates at the moment. So let's see if we've got a rate winner out of this. I'm going to come back here and I'm going to reset. You can reset by changing your default and then changing it back. And then you can just go through and make your plan assignments again on the left mouse. Let's see if we won. Oh, not much of a change. But that's the idea. So you can go through and you can change plans, you can change your structure and see if you can come out with a better rate alternative. You can make duplicate packages with different contributions so that you can show an employer, look, if you change your contribution schedule, maybe you'll find a difference in the cost overall that is suitable. That's medical quoting. It's probably the most difficult of all quoting. So if you've mastered that, everything else is going to be pretty much a cakewalk. One thing I can tell you is if you run a quote inside of our system and you run it for a summary and you run it for a custom, we retain all of the quote data. So if you've run a custom quote and you change it into an EC quote, you can always reference back your custom data. So right now, if I go in and I say select custom, it's going to show me the data that I previously input, and it's also going to show me the carriers that I previously input. It's because we don't destroy any data on the back end. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave these. They're both pretty decent dental, vision, and life carriers. Health Net, of course, best if I'm selling their medical plan alongside. So here I've got DHMO Smile Deluxe. I'm going to go ahead and just choose high-end DHMO plans. And of course, you can see the detailed rates inside of the pop-up. You can email or download Excel or PDF, of course, and the same thing with benefits. And also on dental vision, we also allow you to create comparisons. Same as what you saw on the EC Medical, you can create comparisons that highlight benefit differences for you. So it looks like Health Net's kind of got the win on the high end on the DHMO side. You hear that, Blue Shield? They're coming for you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and choose just a high-end DPPO on each. Now, if I really want to see, how they compare, I can compare them multiple ways. I can say, show me, Blue Shield's DPPO next to Health Net's. The first one you select is the basis for the comparison. The second one is what gets highlighted. So it looks like the only difference is, wow, the only difference, that's amazing. The only difference is the ortho. What do I get as far as cost? quite a big difference in cost. And then you can also, of course, order these plans. So I can drop the HealthNet DHMO down. Since I'm probably going to sell them as a package anyway, my DHMO and my DPPO should probably be grouped together. I can show them high price first and then lower price next, so that if they're going to buy the HealthNet medical policy, they get the little added bonus of HealthNet dental. Vision is also just as straightforward, and it's a similar setup. The medical custom, by the way, is set up the same as these. So I've added a few more carriers for the vision. And I'm just going to go ahead and leave the plans that I previously selected. And again, you can do the same things here. You can create a comparison. Now, these comparisons do come out in our output, but this just is a really nice, clean way to be able to email somebody who's on a specific plan and show them how it's going to compare. You can do this for current and renewal, by the way. So if you're setting up a client's current renewal presentation where you're going to go talk to them about what the carrier is offering them, you can create a quote just for current and renewal, and all the way down to an enrollment worksheets for the employees, just showing the current versus the renewal. And it's a really great way to communicate the plan benefit changes and the rate changes to not only the employer, but the employee as well. Life is the same. On a summary life, you just choose your carrier, just like any other summary product. On the custom life, you're going to choose carrier and also the amount. And that's a complete quote: medical, dental, vision, and life. You come to quote output, you can name your quote. So that I can find it later. You select which language you want to translate your quote into. So this is for the Excel. We translated our Excel into all these different languages. And you can see what the pages look like. So if you're not certain what you're going to get, you can actually take a sneak peek. And we allow you to generate enrollment worksheets in the Excel that are also translated. So if you choose to add them, you can translate people's enrollment worksheets individually. This is where you can include current. So if you're just doing current versus renewal, and I wanted to go and present to the employees what their renewal options were, say the employer rejected my suggestion to move to Aetna because the rate didn't really save the employees anything and actually increase the employee rate significantly. We could just go out and present current versus renewal and say, hey, employees, this is what you had last year. This is what your plan options are going to be this year. And it's really neat. What it does is it actually takes the plan that they were assigned in the current and places their renewal plan right next to it and says, look, these are the two plans. This is what you're on. This is what's most comparable. And then it shows the other plan options in case they want to make a change. This year I'm going to the PPO because I'm going to have this, or this done, and I want the broad network. So it sets up that ability to see the differences between the plans. Now on the enrollment worksheets, we only give you a abbreviated summary of the benefits. We don't give you the whole thing. So there too, I do suggest that you create those side-by-sides with comparison feature so that you can really communicate the depth of the benefit coverage that's going to be different plan to plan. It's actually something that we've been using in our online enrollment, and I think it's a really great tool. It communicates to the employee what they need to be paying attention to, and then they get to zero in on what matters to them most. Because you may not know that they're taking a specialty medication, but they do. And if they look at it and they see that their specialty medication goes up to 50% for a particular plan, they'll know to avoid that one. The highlights tell the story. So on the PDF section, we again give you pages that you can see the pages. And we allow you to make selections, so you can choose whether or not you want to include specific pages or not. So here's my employee choice enrollment worksheet. I like the package summary. I like detail. I don't need the member level and this one. So I'm good here. You can do detailed employee rates. Detailed employee rates is really actually a nice way to look at the rates. It shows a page per plan that you've selected, and it shows the great detail on those rates, all the way down to what each member costs. So if you ever wanted that in a consolidated view. Same with dental, vision, and life. So we show you what the page looks like. You can make your selections to customize it. You can also quote choice administrators products out of our website. These generate actual choice administrators presentations. So within our quote, you can quote California Choice. We're working on Choice Builder. You can't quote it yet. But you can also generate their output straight out of our website. So you don't actually have to go to Choice Administrators directly and get a quote. You can generate it from us and get their quote. When you're done, you hit Submit. It takes you back to the dashboard where your quote goes into a processing status of ready. And as it proceeds through the process, what it's going to do is it's going to pop up little notifications over on the lower right here, and you'll start to see those come up as the quote proceeds through the queue. We are generating a substantially large quote volume today, and have been for the past month. So that's why it's taking a little bit of time. It does get queued, so everything is first in, first out, regardless of what quote type or how simple the quote is, or how many employees are being quoted. It doesn't make a difference to the system. So here I've got my quote started to process, and now it's completed. I can dismiss those. These will, by the way, come up if you've gone on to another quote that you're going to process. And I just heard my email, so here comes my Excel quote. That sounded like my PDF. So inside of your Excel quote, it shows you and it walks you into detail. So we start you out with a summary page where we show you a very light amount of detail. This tells the story that you may want to tell to your client. Hey, look, there's a way to avoid a portion of the increase by jumping to a reduced network plan. You might choose an alternative carrier. Boy, really, this was the best option, and that's really only if they have the best the doctors and hospitals that they want on the right network. But you might be able to direct the client on where they need to go based on this page alone. However, we give you additional detail as we walk you into the presentation. So there's more detail here about each package that you've quoted, the carrier, the plans, the enrollment on the plans, the cost breakdown, and all of this is free field, so none of this is calculated. You can actually take and copy this and paste it out of here into your own template. So I have brokers who've created beautiful displays around here, top and bottom, and header and footer, and then they just take and copy our content, copy and paste it straight into their own Excel workbook. A really great idea. I have brokers who do really neat presentations that have calculations. So they copy our content into it, and then their little calculations are outside the periphery of the content, and it does really neat comparisons between the plans. I've got a couple of brokers who are doing that. It's really fantastic stuff. You can get very creative, of course. We give you a side-by-side. We show you all the highlighted differences. We show you where a deductible applies. If it's a highlighted difference, you'll only see the one there. Otherwise, it'll be green if it's not different. And we give it to you for all of the different plans. So you don't actually have to create those comparisons within the application. You can actually just wait for your output on the back end, and you'll receive it there. So on these pages, we take each renewal plan, and we show you the enrollment for the renewal plan alongside any comparably enrolled plan. So these three people were left on this Platinum 025. So for this renewal and set for these 3 plans so that we can show the plan differences. You can easily see who's already on the plan, who's likely to go to one of these other 2. Who do you need to communicate to that, there's a $30 copayment instead of a $15, 50 instead of a 25, right? Sets you up for those conversations. Shows you the cost differences down to the, down to these different subsets. So here, I'm showing an employer cost difference, that's less. It's just overall where it takes a little bit of a beating, probably on the PPO side. And we walk you through all the different renewal plans that way. Package and plan cost shows you the cost breakdown. It shows you each employee, which plan they were assigned, the costs both for the employee and the dependent, and broken down by employer and employee contribution. Really great for payroll deductions. And then we walk you through enrollment worksheets. So this would be my Chinese enrollment worksheet, or is this? This looks like Korean enrollment worksheet. Vietnamese. And what we do is we give you all of the basics translated. Spanish. And again here, so this actually shows you, well, let's move to an English one because it'll be easier for you to understand. Let's see. Okay. So what we do is we give you, this is the plan that they were assigned in the current package. This is the plan that they were assigned in the renewal package. And then what we do is we flow everything else onto the page from lowest cost to highest cost. So 379, 386, 459. And what will happen is the current plan will actually get repeated. So if I were to go and print this out, you'll see, well, you can actually see it here. So here I've got my current plan on one page, and you see the page divider right here. I've got my current plan on the next page as well. It's a really great way to be able to compare the plans to plans. And here again, we only give you the abbreviated summary of the plan benefits. But it is enough for most employees to make a plan selection. Down at the very back, we give you just a straight benefit side by side. Again, this is mostly for brokers who are using this for other bits. So if you have an online enrollment engine where you want to load the benefits, you can actually just pull them straight out of our template here, copy and paste. There are no merge fields except for what's up here at the very top, but it's very easy to go in and delete. And now there are no merge fields on the page whatsoever. Medical rates, we show you the rates. And again here, really good for online enrollment tools. We give you the rates for each employee, whether or not they actually were assigned that plan. They're black if they were assigned. They're gray if they were not. So you should see a black rate for each employee. And you'll see all of the other rates, just in case somebody asks, well, what would it cost for them to move between those 2 plans? It's a question I used to get quite a bit out in the field. I'm sure you've been asked it if you've been out in the field. Here we tell you, the dental plans. We give you a side-by-side of the dental plans that you selected. And we give you the rating. So in this case, I didn't have anybody with a family, so it doesn't give me that 4th tier. But it shows me the tiers that were used to calculate the total cost down at the bottom. It breaks it out by DHMO and DPPO. Shows you in and out of network for the DPPO. PPO medical plans also show you in and out of network. When I get back here, my PDF has also shown up. I can download straight from this screen. It does open it up in my browser. So there's advantages and disadvantages of that. For example, I don't get my tabs outside of here. May or may not be good for you. I generally like to have the tabs, so I generally try and download them. Now, if you don't like that, you can actually send it to yourself. So I can actually say, hey, and it will email it to me. And it will email it straight to me. There we go. This is what your PDF looks like. It gives you census data back. These were the pages that I specifically selected. So the package summary shows you the summary cost for each of the packages that you've quoted. If I had made the grade and I found a cost difference, this is a really great way to describe the cost difference to an employer. And again, here, this is just a little bit more detail. It shows you my census. It shows you which plans the employee was assigned to, so you can see anomalies or differences or errors really quickly. And again, it shows you the percent differences. This is a detailed employee rates page. Shows you all of the rates for each employee and all of their members. So if you have, the dependents 21 to 26 and they want to go get their own medical policy on exchange or even off exchange, they can do that. We have got beautiful enrollment worksheets inside of our PDF as well. If you want print-ready enrollment worksheets, you don't want to change colors or add a logo or anything like that, you can generate our PDF and it comes out beautifully. These are actually by far our most used. We've got the rates at the top. Everything is numbered so you can correlate the plan at the top to the plan benefits down below. We give you pages for dental benefits and premiums, so this shows you all the dental benefits. It shows you the premiums. This shows you all 4 tiers, even though I don't have an employee in the last tier. So it's also a really great way to go. Carrier-specific requirements shows you underwriting guidelines for each of the plans. If you're not certain of the full underwriting guidelines, I highly suggest going to Word & Brown's website. Go to the resource section, and in broker resources, you can get into our HPRGs. If you haven't seen the HPRG, definitely check it out. It is all underwriting guidelines and carrier comparisons that we could possibly think of. We're constantly sitting here looking for ways that we can compare the carriers and plans for you. We place them side by side in grids. We also have significant detailed underwriting guidelines for each carrier. Once you get past that, so here's Aetna's, shows you the rating regions and what's available, shows you all of the contact information, so even if you're going to process a broker of record, you can see where you need to send it, when they're available, what their contact information is, how to follow up, etc. Products offered. This is just a really fantastic resource. If you have anybody who's diabetic supply differences between the different carriers are highlighted, including self-injectables. Very important these days if you've got a diabetic in your group to pay close attention to that, because the way the carriers are distributing the coverage, whether it's under a durable medical equipment or a brand name prescription, it makes a big difference in the cost. And so that's it. That is the sum total of my presentation today. I really appreciate you taking the time joining me. If you have any specific questions, you're welcome to email me. My email is sdiehl@wordandbrown.com. I'm more than happy to entertain any questions, suggestions, comments. If you'd like to do a personal one-on-one demonstration where we talk through one of your own groups, I'd be more than happy to do that with you. Please feel free to reach out with any and all suggestions, questions, comments, and concerns. I really appreciate your time. Hope you have a great, fantastic, healthy, happy, and successful day. Thank you for joining me.